Happy Week 6, Ducks. Hope you're studying hard for midterms. We're back with another week of sports. I'm Brianna Chavez.
And I'm Sammy DiMinno. We'll be your hosts for tonight. We have a lot to catch you up on.
From women's basketball to women's lacrosse, it was a great week for our women in sports. Last weekend, Oregon women's basketball defeated the Arizona schools. Friday night, they faced off against the Wildcats in a matchup to remember. Star senior Sabrina Ionescu broke records with most triple-doubles against a single school, also extending her record to 24 in her career. Sunday, the Ducks fought their way to another win against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Although the first quarter was a struggle, the Ducks picked it up in the second half of the game. Oregon clearly worked on their defense after last month's loss against the Sun Devils. The Ducks will be traveling south to Los Angeles for a matchup against number 7 UCLA and unranked USC this weekend.
Oregon's men's basketball found themselves struggling when they faced off against Oregon State in Corvallis on Saturday. Starting off the second half, the Ducks led by 10, but fell short to Oregon State's dominant performance as they finished the game on an 11-3 run. Peyton Pritchard tied the game twice and was the only player to score in the final 5 minutes of the game. The Ducks went scoreless under the Beavers' defense, with Pritchard only making one three-pointer on 8 attempts. Oregon State's Zach Reichel gave OSU the lead to make the score 63-53. Next, the Ducks will take on the Colorado Buffs at home in Matthew Knight Arena tomorrow at 6 p.m. Oregon forward Erin Boley had a busy weekend. She spent Friday and Sunday winning with the women's basketball team. Saturday, she joined her fellow athletes at a Women in Flight event. Reporter Izzy LaRue has more.
The U of O Women in Flight held an event on Saturday in the Machowski Center to celebrate National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. Kids were the main focus of the event, especially girls, since the players and event staff wanted to inspire them.
She's a really important person to me because she's just like a role model and stuff. So I've always followed her and stuff.
Duck TV spoke with Erin Boley about inspiring girls in sports.
Just do what you love, play the sport for fun, and keep watching all of the sports here at the U of O. We have a lot of great, amazing women athletes here, and so we're all great role models to look up to.
This was the first year Women in Flight held this event, and every women's sports team was represented there, whether they were a club or NCAA team. The student female athletes held sports clinics, TED Talks, and signed autographs for the attendees. Turnout was way more than the event staff expected, and they even welcomed unregistered event goers into the event. The Women in Flight program has even inspired other universities across the country to create similar programs. From the Machowski Center with Duck TV Sports, I'm Izzy LaRue.
Thanks, Izzy. I hope events like these increase the awareness of women and girls in sports and more schools join. This past Saturday, the Oregon's women's lacrosse team continued their 7-game winning streak as they defeated Liberty 20-12. The Ducks led 4-1 in the first 6 minutes of the game. Oregon's Shawnlee Wallace drove the offense during the first half and scored her first collegiate goal, giving the Ducks the lead in the beginning of the game. Lillian Stump dominated the rest of the game as the Ducks were up by 3 at the start of the half. Liberty came back after the half, balancing the score to 10-9, but the Ducks dominated with a 9-2 run that continued until the end of the game. Next, the Ducks will head to Florida this upcoming weekend and will face off against Jacksonville on February 14th.
Saturday, the number 2 ranked Oregon acro and tumbling outperformed the Hawaii Pacific Sharks. In the final heat of the tumbling event, sophomore tumbler Alyssa Hugh led the Ducks with a perfect score in the solo pass, winning the event for Oregon 56.65-51. Hugh's perfect score was one of 4 the Ducks earned that night. The Sharks found themselves down 1 man during the event, requiring them to change the routine. The Ducks will fly south to Glendale, Arizona for a meet against the Arizona Christian Firestorm this Saturday. Acrobatics and tumbling is one stunt closer to gaining NCAA recognition. Reporter Andrew Lee brings us more about the emerging sport.
This might be the last season before the NCAA adds acrobatics and tumbling as an emerging sport. The journey for senior Peyton Kuhn and sophomore Sarah Bushner started at the age of 6.
I always knew I wanted to do acrobatics and tumbling because I had friends on my cheerleading team growing up that did this after, and it was just an easy transition for me.
I had done gymnastics my whole life, and I didn't realize there was an opportunity for me to try something new.
I just got a perfect score for my execution. I just got deducted for my foot placement. And this type of scoring bridges the gap between gymnasts and competitive cheerleaders.
I asked these athletes what they'd be doing if acro and tumbling wasn't created.
I was going to try out for Navarro on the show cheer.
I think I'd be at school in Miami studying for pre-med.
Division 2 and 3 approved acro and tumbling as an emerging sport. Division 1 members will vote in April. Coach Keenan Wan was on the first acro team at Oregon.
We know we get a little bit more validation. We treat our athletes like NCAA athletes. Oregon does a phenomenal job about obviously making this sport no different than basketball, volleyball, soccer, and softball.
The NCAA stated its support in a press release. Quote, the program provides athletic opportunities for women and sports sponsorship options for colleges, end quote.
It's a sport created by women, done by women, and it's an incredible sport to be a part of.
We're paving way for female athletes, and I think it's really important that people with my skill set and skill sets like people on our team have a place to go that's a little more competitive than a sideline.
I'm Andrew Lee, Duck TV Sports.
Thanks, Andrew. Currently, only 33 teams make up acro and tumbling. They will have the next 10 years to grow to 40, allowing them to gain NCAA status.
The Harlem Globetrotters visited Eugene this Thursday. Reporter Avery Fawcett caught up with some local fans to hear about the event.
On February 6th, the Harlem Globetrotters came to Matthew Knight Arena. Fans across Lane County came to watch the freestyle basketball team light up the court while giving them some hearty chuckles with their comedy routines.
He was giving him a hug.
The Harlem Globetrotters are a basketball entertainment group that travels the world to show off a style of basketball that would probably get you subbed out if you tried it in your game. With flashy passes, high-flying dunks, and handles for days, the Globetrotters don't just appeal to fans of basketball.
Always a good time. It's always fun. It's always a good laugh, and it's always been a good time. We always had a good time. How about you? Think so? Always had a good time.
They throw in all different types of ways to make the kids laugh and enjoy themselves outside of the athletic showcase.
Fans love the Globetrotters and all their antics, but they realize that despite all the fun they're having, it isn't necessarily easy.
The 40 players on their roster perform in over 400 live events worldwide each year. They do hold 22 world records between them, and doing impressive feats like this have to take a toll on your body.
I mean, that's a lot of work out there running around and shooting hoops, and it takes a lot of practice. I would consider them an athlete.
I think it's like a full-time job. You always got to have to be on your top of your game to always perform. It's pretty much being like a professional athlete almost.
Nonetheless, the Harlem Globetrotters will continue to celebrate their 94th year in style, entertaining fans of all ages. For Duck TV Sports, I'm Avery Fawcett.
That looks fun. I wish I was that athletic. That's all we have for this week.
Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Oregon athletics.
Now back to Sabrina and Tucker at the news desk.
Have a great night, Eugene.